Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, everybody, Ramadan is going well. Alhamdulillah, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, starting to get stronger as we go, inshallah. At least I'm feeling a little stronger. May Allah allow me to get stronger and do more ibadah, starting to increase and do more. You know, the more you go, the more you should start to tighten up. And I'm not just really referring to the not giving up the food and drinks and the things you have to give up during the daytime, like the siyam, the refraining from a lot of the things. I noticed some, like generally during Ramadan, I don't watch any TV or anything, and I listen to a lot of lectures and, you know, Quran recitation and do a lot of reading. But for some reason this year I've been watching a little TV. I've been relaxing watching a little TV. But what I noticed this year, and I don't know why, but like if I'm riding down the street or if I'm watching something and some music come on, like I be watching like some YouTube lectures or something, and you know, like you may be moving around the house and then the lecture in, and then whatever just coming up next on YouTube will play, and it may be some music. It like really irritate me. You know, like I don't know, that's something I had never witnessed before, because you know, every Ramadan, everywhere, especially in America, when you leave, you gonna hear music somewhere in a store, you know, cars riding by. But for some reason, when I hear music, it really bothers me. Alhamdulillah, maybe that's a good thing. But I want to share another small benefit from the effects of fitnah. And it's deep, because this is something that I've been talking about with the brothers, about how particular groups, how they came and detached us from the Quran and Sunnah. Like, for the people who be listening to this, or like not just yourself, but think about the people that you know. And let's say you know 10 Muslims. How many of those Muslims read tafsirs and books of hadiths on a regular? Even if it's small books like 40 hadith Nawawi, you know, Bulugh Maram, you know, how many people actually reading hadiths and tafsirs? I mean, how many people reading anything? Do the majority of the Muslims that you know read books? So I was speaking to him, it's been like a couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, talking about how we've been detached from the scholars. So that's what I was saying. We got detached from the Quran and the Sunnah, along with the books of the Quran and Sunnah, i.e. tafsirs and hadiths. And then once they detached us from that, they detached us from the scholars. And once we got detached from the scholars, people able to tell us anything that they want. So when you look now and you see people talking about the deen and they talking about issues, a lot of it is without ilm. But I'm going to bring the word ilm down to knowledge. Not saying that some of the wording or terminology that we use, we may use some of the wording or the correct wording or correct terminology. You know, you using words like fiqh and things like this, right? But the situations we talking about, like we not answering it from like what the scholars would say, how the scholars would answer it, or like the scholars said this about that. Like when you start watching students of knowledge, especially high level students of knowledge, which technically may be a small scholar because they have a PhD, they have roles above the college level. Their education can't be continued through college. They had to go get something else. Technically, by definition, that's a small scholar. You've completed the science all the way on the education level. Now you have to get out there and learn what school can't teach you. So some people with a small scholar PhD, like your Tahir, your Farouk Post. But when you listen to them and they talk about issues, they always go, if they not saying this Quran ayat, Kala Allah, Kala Rasul Allah, this hadith said, the Rasul said, they'll say, the scholars say this. Some scholars see it this way, some scholars see it that way. And I'm bringing that up because how many common everyday Muslims do you see doing that? The Quran says this, but they 100% accurate with the use of what the Quran say. Not like how I say, those little games they have for kids where they got like these little stars and a ball and a square and a triangle and a little round tube and a rectangle, and then they got a box and they have to fit them into those pieces. And usually sometimes they could take that square and squeeze it into the triangle. And sometimes you'll see people doing that with Dalil, just squeezing Dalil that doesn't fit there. So how many of them really using those Quran ayats right, and they understand the tafsirs on them, the hadith that's attached to them? Just a little gem for individuals that read the Quran. What you'll start to notice is, if it's a Quran ayat with a commandment, you could go find a hadith that's attached to it, because everything that Allah commanded Rasul Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to do and to tell the Muslims, you're going to find a hadith of him teaching it how it be done, or telling them what the Quran says and explaining them with an explanation, or basically, I don't want to use that word, telling them how to implement that command that came from the Quran. For instance, be opposite the disbelievers. Then you might be seeing the Rasul say, when you praying, do this, that way, because the disbelievers pray that way. Make sure you got some hair on your face. Leave some hair on your face. Trim the mustache, because the disbelievers shave all the hair off their face. And generally it's some type of religious group, like, they had like forms of the monks at that time, and they used to wear, just like the monks now, they wore that mustard yellow, and they shaved all the hair off their face, and then they shave all the hair off and had like a little patch of hair with a long tail, like the Buddhist type monks, like you see them on TV. So then you'll start to see hadiths where the Rasul said, don't wear that type of a yellow when you dig deep into the hadiths, because those disbelievers wear that form of a yellow. Don't start shaving. Some people say don't get fades, but it's saying don't shave some hair off and leave the hair, because the monks, they call them monks today. I don't know what they was calling them then, but you'll see them, they had like all their hair shaved off with a patch right here and a long tail, or it may start from here. It's referring to those type of things. So, long story short, when you see a commandment in the Quran, you can go find a hadith that's attached to that. So just knowing what to look for. How many people, when they really talking about stuff and issues, that they really doing that, or they saying what the scholars would say. And then you can see how we really detach from we not only we detach from the Quran and Sunnah, we detach from the scholars. And if you're gonna be detached from the Quran and the Sunnah, Tafsirs and Hadith, you're gonna need the scholars. The Quran say, when you don't know, ask the people that do know. But the people of knowledge, who can give it to you the way it should be given, the scholars. So, in this book, one of the, the second effect of fitnah, of fittins, a lot of fitnah is the people turning away from religious knowledge and the scholars. And you can see it happening. So look what it say right here. Among the effects of fitna and its consequences, that's beautiful. The effects and the consequences. Among the effects of fitna and its consequences is that it keeps the people away from the gatherings of knowledge. Just right there, that first little paragraph. Well, that ain't even a full paragraph, but halfway through the paragraph. Just imagine you trying to have some people come together to learn some knowledge. Sound knowledge from curriculums, the proper books, where the knowledge has been tested, not some people just talking. You will notice somehow, some way, somebody's going to try to come up with a way to break that up. But this is what you know. Anytime somebody's trying to break up something that's a class or some things that's teaching that involves true Islamic knowledge, is always going to be a person that doesn't have any. You see what I'm saying? It's always going to be a person that doesn't have any. Because they are fitna to themselves and they are fitna to the people around them. Because there's something that's going to be in their heart and they know that they don't understand. But they may be arrogant and think that they're knowledgeable. The Muslim always want good for another Muslim. You should. Breaking up the gatherings of knowledge, there's something wrong there. So this is what it's saying. This is one of the effects of fitna and the consequences of it. One of the consequences of fitna is that it keeps the people away from the gatherings of knowledge. Try to have one and watch people try to interrupt it. Then look, and then it says the gatherings of scholars, also studying religious rulings, fiqh, jurisprudence, right? And just learning the religion. Fitna and the consequences of fitna stop these things from happening. It keeps people away from the gatherings of knowledge, the gatherings of the scholars, studying religious rulings, fiqh, jurisprudence, and learning the religion. I've seen with my own eyes where individuals is teaching the basics of fiqh, usul, foundations of fiqh, on an introductory level, right? An introductory level. That's for anybody, right? Just a very introduction to it, so that as you go on, you can grow into it and have a better understanding. Some people will come into a gathering like that and say, you shouldn't be teaching fiqh. These people are not ready for it. This is an introductory level. This ain't even teaching a fiqh. This is introducing you to the science of fiqh. Only a person without knowledge on a basic level. You don't even have basic level knowledge. And you just came in and created fitna. And the consequence of that is it's going to interrupt this gathering. And sometimes in the back of those individuals' heart, that's exactly what their intention was. Things like that, when you look at things like tail carrying, where people go and start to say things and this and that, but it's for the purpose of creating problems. And we know all the serious major punishments in the grave for tail carrying. An individual may not realize that those type of things, doing stuff like that, is a form of tail carrying, because you doing these things for the purposes of breaking up a gathering of real knowledge. College books being brought down, the explanation, scholars can end up like small scholars, people with PhDs, right, in this science, can be pulled up on Zoom, that's willing to talk about these issues. People who done sat in classes and graduated from these classes is teaching and bringing an introduction the same way that they passed the class, giving it the way that they got it. And individuals who are full of fitna, they will interrupt that. So like, look at that, what it's saying. The effects of the fitna and the consequences of it, it keeps people away from the gatherings of knowledge. Just look at the individuals that break up gatherings of knowledge. Now this is the thing. They may feel like what I'm doing is right? And this is where people speak about the dangers of it. Well, I don't feel like this is knowledge that they should be taught. I don't feel like this is being this should be talked about, right? Because what's being talked about may make them look bad. They feel like it make it look bad because it exposes them. Sometimes the truth exposes a liar. So cool. We feel like this need to be broken up. But once they break it up, what do they replace it with? And that's the danger. It's almost like some individuals got some steak on their plate, some good vegetables, and a good drink. An individual say, I don't feel like they should be eating that. I don't feel like you should be feeding them that, because I don't have the means to feed them that. So you're going to come in and knock their plate of food over, but then not give them anything else to eat. That's the effects of fitna and its consequences. But look what else it says. So then the hearts become preoccupied. Within them is the fire of fitna. The fire of fitna ablaze, so the person will not be at ease in order to seek any religious knowledge. So now the people done went from a gathering of knowledge, learning stuff they never even heard before, with Dalil, with the books in their hand, looking at the curriculum, enjoying it, actually learning from it. But then somebody with the fire of fitna ablaze in their heart come through and mess it up. And then it says that so that person will not be at ease to the point where they go seek any religious knowledge. Now, not only the person who caused it, but the people who was benefiting from it, nobody is benefiting now. Nobody is benefiting now. But look at this. So, not only will they not be at ease in order to seek any religious knowledge, nor will they embark upon the gatherings of scholars. So once they tear that up, I don't feel like they should be getting this. I feel like they should be getting better. Let me take them over there and have them listen to this scholar. They don't even give them that. They don't even give them that. So they don't embark upon the gatherings of the scholars. Rather, they will turn away from everything. No seeking knowledge, no studying anything, no growth, or you might look at something and come up with your own opinion. But you already an ignorant person. So now you pass on your ignorance to the next person. You hear individuals say stuff like, wallahi, these things I've heard with my own mouth. We don't listen to those scholars or read those books. I'm able to look at them, whether they call it arrogant or not, and say, obviously, making a statement like, we don't listen to no scholars or read any of those books. And this is a comment that they make when somebody is giving people beneficial books. New Muslim come in, here you go, man, here goes some books, man, that'll help you along your journey. And then the individual say, we don't listen to no scholars or read any of those books. Now, this person, you might have some influence on this person. Once they put all of that down and you never replace it with nothing except for ignorance, you're going to be held accountable of it. But like it's saying, this is the effect and the consequences of fitnah. You can't build with destroyers. The only time you can build with destroyers is when the old foundation needs to be tore down first. You can't build with destroyers. So look what else it says. Rather, what is more excessive and greater than that is the fitnah will lead the majority of the people to belittlement of the scholars. So sometimes when people don't deal with scholars, they're going to belittle anybody that can bring the knowledge in. So let's say you, maybe 3-4 other people is the only people capable of teaching this little bit of knowledge correctly. For some people who don't study, some people who don't read, people who make comments out of their mouth like, we don't listen to no scholars and we don't read no books. But when the person who can come in and teach these particular books, guess what they're going to do? They're going to belittle that person. You know what I'm saying? You might be like, and this isn't no knock to nobody, but like you might be an alcoholic, weed head, ain't touching no books, don't pray, don't do nothing. You might even be in the streets. But you will come to a gathering of knowledge, sound knowledge, real knowledge, with an opinion of what needs to go on. But the intentions is, how can I belittle you and mess this up? I've seen this with my own eyes. I talk to people who seeing these same things with their own eyes in their cities. You an alcoholic. You're a weed head. Not judging what you do, but you come into a religious gathering of knowledge where people actually learn it for the purposes of trying to belittle it. All the way down, and it's giving you every step. So then what happens after that? It keeps people away from these gatherings. Then they not even going to go to turn to scholars or any other people of knowledge, students of knowledge or anything. It's basically, and then they're not even going to seek anything at all because of the fitnah and the consequences of that fitnah. Look what else it say. So they will lead the majority of people to belittle the scholars or the students of scholars, the people of knowledge, the students of knowledge. just your regular teachers who can teach this particular thing, they're going to belittle them. They're going to look down on them, having no awareness of their worth, right? Then they're going to turn to slandering them and their honor and disparagement of them, because their heart is on fire with fitnah. That, like I say, that fitnah is ablaze in their heart, and they will not be at ease to the point where they can go and seek some knowledge. You can't teach nothing, you don't study nothing, you ain't learned nothing, but you come to a gathering where things is being taught for the purpose of the sickness and disease that's in your heart to destroy and mess up everything. Right? So alhamdulillah, it goes on to give some examples about I'm gonna give one more. I'm gonna give a hadith that they put in there. Indeed, it is mentioned in a hadith from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or alaihi salatu wasalam, how they word it in here with the Arabic, that he said, whoever does not show mercy to our young. So imagine this is a gathering, a religious gathering of knowledge for young people. You come in and destroy that, that's not showing mercy to them. But look what it say. Whoever does not show mercy to our young, respect our elders, and does not acknowledge the rights of the scholars, the people of knowledge, the students of knowledge, right? The talibs of him, your regular teachers, the people who can teach these particular things. If you don't acknowledge the rights of those people, then they is not from my ummah. You can call yourself Muslim all you want, but you're not from this ummah. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, referring to these fitnah causers. They heart just ablaze them fitnah. Technically, if you make a statement like this, we don't listen to no scholars and we don't read no books, but you belittling the scholars ain't needed. You not from this ummah. From the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can call yourself what you want. You see what I'm saying? You not from this ummah. So a lot of us need to be careful, because it's sitting down saying this is going to lead the majority of people to this. Why is the majority of the people going to end up that way? Because if you pay attention and look at the deen right now, the majority of the Muslims are blind followers. The majority of the Muslims is not striving to become scholars. They're not striving to become talibs of ilms where they sitting with real teachers. You know, the most that a lot of people doing is maybe watching some YouTube videos, but their knowledge or their understanding of what they're listening to isn't getting checked. They not taking no test on that. They not sitting down writing notes. They not hearing something there and they quote a hadith and then they write that down and then they go look at all the hadiths on that subject. You might pull up Sahih Bukhari. It might be 30 hadiths on that one subject. When you get a better understanding of what they was talking about, you might go look it up and then find out that hadith is munkar. You know, it's fabricated. It's fake. It might be mabdul. It might have all type of different issues with it. Nobody is doing that. So you can see where the detachment is coming from. A lot of people are blind followers. And this is the effect of fitness. This is the consequences of all of the fitnah. You cannot build with destroyers. You understand what I'm saying? So cool, you know. Sometimes, man, unfortunately, when you're aware of these type of things, we are Muslims, but when you go and look at a lot of the hadiths, we are Muslims, but we not all a part of the same ummah. You see what I'm saying? That's why you see a lot of warnings with a Rasul saying, man, as things start to change throughout the deen, you got to stick to the Jama'at. You know what I'm saying? Even with the Quran ayats, that Allah was pleased with the Rasul, and then the ones who followed behind him and exactly how he did it, and then the ones who followed behind him. Those believers that followed the Rasul the way he was supposed to be followed, then the people who followed them in following the Rasul the way that he was supposed to be followed. Now, whether some people want to put a name to those groups and then attach that name to themselves, but they don't follow it the way that they were supposed to, they not a part of that ummah. And just like this right here, people from the Rasul ummah, they're going to acknowledge the rights of the people of knowledge. Whether you was a scholar, whether you was what we're going to say, alim, a person of knowledge. We're going to take scholar off of it. Whether you was a person of knowledge, whether you're a student of knowledge, whether you're a teacher and you only qualified to teach certain things, right? That's going to be respected. That's going to be acknowledged. Those are the people, like what the Quran say, when you don't know, ask the people that know. But individuals might take snippets from these people that they belittling because they want to be looked at as what those people actually are. This is a fitnah, and these things are the consequences of fitnah. Some of these individuals in the cities like that I'm talking to, and different people, you know, that's even overseas, like people that I'm talking to that's actually teaching classes, they starting to see the same type of thing. Particular individuals who don't read nothing, ain't learn nothing, don't want to learn nothing, don't want to study nothing, hate books, hate scholars, right? Messing it up for everybody. And that's why I applaud a lot of people, man, who done went to school, dedicated their lives, 10, 15 years of learning to remove the ignorance from themselves and try to get themselves and their genital family, and then come out and try to be a benefit and of service to the people. But they know so much about the deen. They know it's almost a blank mission. Sometimes you going out and doing the work to try to save the people is saving yourself. And if Allah allows it to get through to one person, may Allah written it down for at least one person in there to get something out of it. Well, alhamdulillah, that's what was written for them. But if it's 15 people in the room and nobody gets nothing out of it, nothing was absorbed, especially due to a room of 15 people, and then 5 of them is causing fitnah because their heart full of fitnah, so nobody benefited from, that's what was written. But you go out there and you still do what you got to do, because sometimes going out there to save the people is you saving yourself. You got to pay zakat on your knowledge. Whether people's hearts is able to absorb it or not, that's a different story. And that's why a lot of times when a lot of people start with a community and start with a regular group and these people of knowledge, they start with some type of form of tahara. Getting all that filth out of people's hearts. All the things that's going to cause corruptions to their deen. They're going to advise them about that. They're going to show them the proofs and evidence about these certain type of things so that they can get that filth out of their heart, emptying that vessel so that it can be filled up with purity. How are you going to purify yourself with a dirty heart? You know what I'm saying? How is the good that needs to get in your heart going to get in there and it's full of filth? It's full of fitnah. It's full of corruption. But see, people who ain't never learned nothing don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? People who ain't never learned that, don't know nothing, they can't understand that. The only thing they understand is, I want to be looked at as the big dog. And I don't want nobody else looking at you as the big dog. When in reality, you ain't even a puppy. You know what I'm saying? You a problem causer. Nothing more and nothing less. You see what I'm saying? So y'all got to be careful, man. We all got to be careful, man, because there's people out here that's hearts full of fitnah that will turn you away from gatherings of knowledge, turn you away from the books of knowledge, turn you away from the scholars. Like even right now, like if we want to be real and want to be honest, in America, the majority of us are at the point that we can't even really listen to the scholars. How many of us that's right here in America, how many of us can just go like some of the scholars that be live streaming and you can listen to them? A lot of the majority of us, we can't even listen to them. So alhamdulillah, some of your small scholars that can handle a lot of our everyday issues, like a Tahir Wyatt, right? Like a Farouk Post, right? They have been belittled. They have been tarnished. They have been slandered by individuals who ain't never sat with nobody. You see what I'm saying? People who don't have no real ilm, but they have a following. And then other individuals that's on their level, them just two people that I'm naming. And then people of knowledge, students of knowledge that's under them, like a Mufti Muhammad. You know, that man got a master's degree. Shadid Muhammad, that man got a bachelor's degree. Build a masjid from the ground up. But their name has been tarnished and destroyed by individuals that ain't built nothing. And individuals who trying to teach and speak from things that they not even qualified to talk about against people who sticking to what they qualified to talk about and teach. People who not stepping out above their realms of knowledge. Even your Khalid Green. Khalid Green, a lot of people don't know, man. Khalid Green got a PhD. Khalid Green, in that particular subject matter, Khalid Green got more education than Mufti Muhammad and Shadid Muhammad. And a whole lot of these other individuals who don't have nothing. Khalid Green is a doctor in particular science of Islam. He's a small scholar. by definition. And one thing about him, I have yet to see him go above or step outside of that which he knows. For instance, what I mean by that, let's say you a scholar or you went to school and studied fiqh, but then you overstep your boundaries and start trying to teach Sharia from things that you ain't never read or things you ain't never, it's different if you say, okay, a scholar said this, or I got this book written by the scholar and what that scholar says in this book is this. That's different. But just speaking from your own mouth and your own opinion in matters that you never studied or listen to a scholar talk about, which is like what I see some people do. It don't work that way. And this is like it's saying, this is the effect of fitnah, and it's turning people away from religious knowledge and the scholars. And the majority of people is going to fall into this, and you're going to have just a whole bunch of ignorant people talking from their own mouth and opinions. And this is something that you can see in today's time. And once again, this is written by a scholar who's still alive today. I got love for him. Some people hate on him. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, y'all heard of the name Sheikh Muhsin al-Badr, right? Let's see what year it ain't about the year that he wrote this book, but the year that somebody took his book and then translated it into English. And this first translation was done in August of 2013 in the month of Ramadan. So this book right here is this translation. It's 11 years old. So imagine what was going on when they translated this book. This is why they translated it, to help people to avoid the effects of fitting. And like I was saying, speaking to other people, we having conversations like, man, I think I spoke on it in one of these short videos, like, when Ramadan used to come around, man, I remember a time, man, it'd be me, a group of brothers, you know what I'm saying? We not even all in the same city. We finna study the same book. We finna do this. I'm seeing brothers, they even posting videos where they all meeting at the same house, doing Islamic trivia. They all cooking together, everything. They doing Islamic trivia. They studying, helping each other with Quran and this and that, and then they cook. Then by the time food is ready, by the time for them to break their fast, they sit down and have an iftar. They all meeting up at one of the brother houses. I don't see that no more. I haven't seen that in several years. You know what I'm saying? I don't see like a lot of people getting together. This is the book we own, this and that, woo up the woo. I'm not seeing it. The effect of fitness and its causes. We gotta beware, man. We gotta beware. Anybody can see some form of this, some way, shape, or form. You see what I'm saying? Even if sometimes you might see some religious gathering surrounded by food, but a bunch of bid'ahs being taught. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of made up fake stuff. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of the masjid is the houses of shaitan, because the masjid is the sirat, and that's the only place on earth that shaitan lives. You'll never see shaitan anywhere outside of the masjid. Not on the streets, not in your house. The only place you will ever encounter shaitan is in the masjid, because that's where shaitan lives. So you had a religious gathering where they teaching the masjid is not the houses of Allah, they're the houses of shaitan. and that mug might be packed. That's what we up against. That's why you gotta educate yourself, man. You got to remove the ignorance from your own person. Hey, I don't care if y'all got whole lambs and whole goats on a spit grill with some of the best rice and chicken and whatever else, my favorite foods, and all type of halal pizzas and everything at that gathering. I won't be there. Just like y'all won't be at any gathering where real knowledge is being taught. Effects of Fitnah and the consequences. You understand? And what y'all hearing me say is this is things that I heard people say from a kutbar. So I'm not just speculating and saying people made. I'm talking about situations that I've seen, stuff that I've seen with my own eyes and heard with my own ears, and gatherings that I see. I ain't never seen. And to tell you the truth, if I go in my head and think about maybe at least 10 gatherings of real religious knowledge being pulled together to educate the people, I guarantee out of 10 of them, the exact same person or a couple of people broke up and messed up all 10 gatherings. And everybody still uneducated, except for the couple of people who sat down and said, y'all must be crazy, and moved forward. And not only did they stand still, they moved backwards. Because when your heart full of fitnah, you gonna live in a world full of fitnah. You a fitnah to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You a fitnah to your household. And that's why I see some of these brothers, man, who have good wives and good families, and their people continue to go gather in a house full of fitnah, expecting not to be affected by it. That's dang near imaginable Islamically. It might not make you crazy in the dunya world, that's just regular life. But as a Muslim, you gotta have some fidrasa. You need to be able to see ahead. You need to analyze those situations and the circumstances and think about the outcome. What can this do to my marriage? What can this do to my real friendships? What can this do to my deen, first and foremost? You know what? I'm going to choose to do something else. But I've been talking long enough, man. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Any mistakes I made came from myself and the shaitan. And anything that I said that was correct came from Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-Muqtadir wal-Alim al-Basir.